All right, what up, what up, what up, what up? You already know what to do. It's your boy B-Phil is trying to learn something new. So today, we're going to be looking at a Golang implementation of Instructor. So basically, we're going to get that sweet structured output that we all love, but we're going to start using Golang. So let's just go check it out. All right, so we're going to start here. And so this is the Instructor Go package, and so we can go to the actual documentation. We can get an idea of what's going on here. Now, this is a community maintained package, right? So if we go to the original Instructor library, which is the Python Instructor, so we're gonna go ahead and say use Instructor. There we go. And we can go ahead and go to the main one. And you can see here, there's a Go library here, and this is going to take us to Instructor Go, and we're going to be able to utilize Go to implement Instructor. So first and foremost, what we want to go ahead and do is, of course, install Golang if you don't already have it, which maybe you don't if you watch this channel. So what you want to do first is you want to go to Go. So we want to go go.dev/doc/installation. Depending on your distribution, you can just click this button. Of course, using like a wget in Linux or in Windows, you can just click the download and install it via the executable, and then you'll have Go on your system. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is go here. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new project. So I'm going to say make here, let's say Instructor YouTube. And then we're gonna, cd instructor. All right, you can see it was quite difficult there. So great, now we have our library here, or our program here. So first and foremost, like always, we're gonna go ahead and do a .env, and we're gonna use a few packages here. I have them in the description. So right here, these are the packages we're gonna use. We're gonna use the Instructor Go package, the Joho go.env package to go ahead and get the environment variables, and then of course this Lushuong's Go Anthropic library. This is a unofficial Anthropic backend that is going to go ahead and call the Anthropic API. So let's go ahead and get our .env. We'll just put Anthropic API key here, and then this is where you want to go ahead and put your API key. I'll do this off screen. Next, we want to go ahead and create our main.go file. Now with Go, we're going to need to initialize our actual project. So first we're going to go version to make sure we have it installed. Looks like we do. Now we're going to go mod init, and we're going to say github.com/fibrandon/instructor_demo. And now we have our module set up. Now we can go ahead and install our packages. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna say go get, and I'm just gonna paste these packages here. All right, boom. And maybe I can do this, paste all of them. Let's see if it lets me do that. Yeah, great. So then we go to our Go mod, and we can see we have all the packages that we need. So first and foremost, let's go ahead and define our package main here. It's going to be our main package. And let's go ahead and say func main. And we'll go ahead and do some modifications to this as we go, but this is going to be our standard template. So first and foremost, if we look at the actual documentation for this library, let's go here. We're going to need, if we look here, we need a context that we're going to have to pass into each of these calls here. So what we want to do first is we want to initialize some context, and then of course we want to load our environment as well. So let's do all of that now. So we're going to go ahead and say ctx, and this isn't necessarily a Go tutorial. If you want to see more of that, let me know in the comment section, but I'm just going to show you how you can implement this in Go and give you something to get started with, and you can learn as you go and play around with this on your own. So we're going to say CTX, and we're going to go ahead and initialize some context. And yeah, oops, context.background. All right, great. So next we want to go ahead and initialize our environment. So we're going to say error equals, and we'll say go.env, and we'll say load. And we want to load our .env. And we don't need to do this necessarily, and it should load it for us anyway. So now we have our context and our environment. Let's go ahead and set up a client here, or let's set up the instructor client. So we'll say client, and this can return an error as well. And we're going to say instructor dot from Anthropic. And now what we need to do is we need to go ahead and pull in some from Anthropic. So let's look at how they do it here. So we need a new client, and then we need to pass in a mode, and then we need to go ahead and have some retries. So we're going to say Anthropic.new client, and here we'll say API key. Let's just go ahead and say os.getInf. And we want to get Anthropic API key. And then after, we want to go ahead and say with right here, we want to go put a comma here, and we want to say with mode, and then we want to say an instructor dot tool. So mode. I spelled instructor wrong, of course. Let's do this dot mode tool call. So this is the mode that you'll see in the documentation that you need to use in order to utilize the Anthropic library. And then we're going to say instructor with max retries, and we'll have 3 here. Great. So we have this, and we're missing some stuff here. So we have our client, and then we have our with mode, and it's saying assignment mismatch. So we see this here. We have our client, we have getInf, we have our mode, and then we have our retries. But for some reason, we're not getting this correctly. So os.getInf, Anthropic API key with mode, instructor mode call, and then we got with max retries. And it possibly is because we don't have a comma here. Nah, that's not it. So let's go ahead and I believe we're doing something slightly incorrect here, unfortunately. So this probably doesn't return an error, it looks like. So if we look here, it just returns the client, so there is no error. And now we're good to go. Okay, great. So now we have that. And for whatever reason, I'm not getting great formatting here. I want some good Golang formatting, but it looks like it doesn't want to format. And it's probably because we're not using these. So we've declared them, but we haven't used them. So now let's go ahead and make a call to the client. So we'll say response, and I know for sure this, this is going to return an error. So we'll say client.create messages. And we're going to need to pass some context. We'll pass that context here. And then we're going to need to pass the request. And so inside of this particular request, this is going to be an Anthropic message request, as you can see. And inside of this, we can go ahead and use our nice type hints. We're going to need a model. And this library has or the Anthropic library that we're using has these already defined. So we'll say anthropic.model Claude. And you can see we have all of these good models here. And we're just going to use Claude Haiku. Next, we're going to go ahead and pass in our messages. And we can see here that let's just look at this request just so you get a better idea. So this is going to take some messages, some max tokens. It's going to take a system message. And so you see that it has everything that a request should have here. And so we need to pass in max tokens. And then this messages is just going to be a list of messages. And if we go to the definition here, we see that a message has a role and then it has some content. If we go here into the content, message content down here, and you can see we have the type of the message. Then we have the actual text. We have the source. So if it's an image or not. So you can see that very, very robust typing here, which is really, really good for us. So we're going to go ahead and pass in Anthropic list of messages. And this is going to go ahead and contain a new user message. And this user message, we're going to go ahead and do some formatted printing. So sprintf, and we're going to say extract the user information. And we're going to pass in some strings. So we're going to say, let's say Brandon is 34. Great. So now we need to specify the max tokens here. And this is going to be, as we see here, it's going to be an integer. So we'll say 4,000. And then finally, what I forgot to do here is we need to go ahead and define a struct that we want to go ahead and output the response into. So we're going to say type user detail, and we'll say struct. And this is going to be a name, and this name is going to be a string. And what we can do with Golang is we have like these type annotations in a way. So we're going to do backticks, and we'll say JSON, and we're going to say the actual key for this is going to be name, lowercase, which is important. And then there's another library that's specified in this documentation here. We'll just look at it quickly. It's the JSON schema. So if we go here, you can see JSON schema reflection. And I think that's the technical term in Go for it, is called a reflection. And so we can see that we can put these hints here. So we can do a JSON schema. The title is the actual title of this. The name, right? We can put a description, and this will get passed, from my understanding, this can get passed to the LLM. So you can see here, we put some examples as well. So let's just go back and let's do this. 1 second here. All right, great. So yeah, there's more information here. You can add more metadata, that we want the model to be aware of, which is great because this is what we were doing similarly with Pydantic. When we would go ahead and define the base model, then we would define the actual fields, and on those fields, we would put a description using the Pydantic field class. So this is a similar way you can do that with Go. Now let's go ahead and check this one out. So we did that. We have the name here. Let's say JSON. This is going to be JSON schema, and we'll say title equals name, comma, description equals the name of the user. And then we could probably put some examples here. We won't put any examples though. We'll just leave it like that. All right, so we have that, and then let's go ahead and say age, and this is going to be int. We'll say JSON age. Why am I spelling age incorrectly? That's crazy. And then we'll say JSON schema, and then we'll go ahead and put the title equals the age, right? And then we'll say description equals the age of the user. Great. And we have some squigglies here. So there's probably something that we need to install here, but for whatever reason, we want to make sure that this is slightly correct, right? It's saying that the struct field tag JSON name is not compatible with the reflect. So, and I'm guessing because we haven't actually brought in JSON schema. I imagine it would bring that in for us. You see this? This is the simple example we're implementing here. But, I mean, this is just a warning, it looks like. So we shouldn't have too many problems. Let's go ahead and just try it out, right? So then we're going to say var user, and then we're going to make this type user detail. And we're going to go ahead and pass our response model. And it's similar to how we would do it in Python. So we're going to say, instead here, we're going to pass a pointer to our user. And what it's going to do is going to output or marshal into this. I believe that's what it's called. So we're going to do that. And then we can go ahead, let's go ahead and handle this error up here. We see this squiggly. So we say if error is not equal to nil, and we'll log fatal, and we'll say unable to load environment. Check your files. Let's do something like that. Great. So now we can go ahead, after this is run, if, again, error is not equal to nil, let's catch the error. And then we'll log fatal, and then we'll just log the error. So then now we should have some type of response here. So we can go ahead and let's go ahead and fmt print line, and let's print the response and see what it looks like. We know we're probably going to get some pointer stuff back. So maybe let's go ahead and look at what this output is. It's a message response. And if you we actually didn't take a look at the message response, but it has some ID, it has some type, it has a role, it has some content. This content is probably arguably the most important part. Then it has some usage. So we probably want to go ahead and say response.content. And inside of this content, let's go here. Let's check out what mesh content looks like. We have right here, this text, it's a pointer to the string. So let's go ahead and let's just print out the content and see what it looks like. So when we do that, we do something like this because it's a list, or a slice rather. And then we could say text. Let's just do our text. And then let's go ahead and fmt.println, and we'll go ahead and print out the user.age, and then we'll fmt.println user.name. And let's go ahead and run this. So go run main.go. So of course, we don't have our API key because I didn't do that yet. So give me one moment. Let me go ahead and put our API key here. And remember, before you do this as well. So we'll do this, boom. I'm doing this off screen, y'all. So just give me one moment and we'll be back. Great, we're back. And we're gonna run it one more time. Let's see what we get. So yeah, of course we have some pointer there. So maybe we can go ahead and destruct, or I guess unwrap the pointer. So now here is the user information extracted. And then this is going to be in the tool call. So 34 and Brandon. So very simple example here. Next, let's just go ahead and do something where maybe we want to loop through so you can see the file capabilities or the IO capabilities of Golang. So user detail.text, and I already generated a large amount, well, not a large, just 20. And so we're going to go ahead and just implement another function that's going to take a client, some context, and the actual content, and it's going to output the raw response, the error if there is one, and then of course the user. So let's go ahead and do that now. So we'll say func extract user detail, and this function is going to take in some client, and this client is going to be an instructor Anthropic, and this is going to be a pointer here. So it's going to be a pointer to an instructor Anthropic client. So we can see this here. That's what this client is. It's going to take that. And this is so we can just do a large batch, right? We can go ahead and build this Golang program, have someone drop in their user details, and just run it executable on any machine, of course, given you've compiled it across the different machines. And next, we're going to take some context. So we'll see CTX, and this is going to be context.context. Boom. And then we're going to go ahead and pass in some content. So we'll say content, and this is just going to be a string. And what we're going to go ahead and return is a response, and this is going to be an Anthropic And we look here just really quickly, Anthropic message response. So Anthropic.message, and we want to do this actually. We want an Anthropic message response. Then we want the error. We actually want a user detail here as well. So we'll say a pointer to user detail and then the error. So then we can destructure that and then do something with this. So let's go ahead and do this. So we're going to say var user detail. And then we're going to go ahead and remove this portion. And we're just going to go ahead and put it into this function. And where we would put Brandon is 34, we're going to go ahead and just pass in the content. And then we'll say if, actually, let's just go ahead and return this stuff directly. So we'll say return response, and we'll say user, and then let's go ahead and send it in like this. For some reason, I am not good at typing today. And then we'll return the error as well. So now we should be good to go here. Now what we can do is we can go ahead and say and let's just go ahead and open up the file. So we'll say, let me make sure, yeah, you guys aren't hearing all that crazy stuff. Okay, great. So we're gonna go ahead and open the file here. So we'll say the user file, and this can return an error. We'll say os.read file, and we'll say user detail.txt, and we'll say if error is not equal to nil, log.fatal. And let's go ahead. Now, of course, however you decide to handle it, you should handle it appropriately, right? This is the thing about Go. It returns the errors as a value, and then you handle those errors as you seem to get them. So we're going to go ahead and remove that from there. We're going to remove our variable for our user detail here. And then we're going to say for user, and we'll say equals in range of our user file. And actually, what we need to do here is we need to get the lines. And we need to go ahead and split this actual file on the new line, because you see inside of our file, we just have these all in lines. And so we need to just string dot split. I think it's slice actually. It's the wrong library. String dot split. And then we pass in the actual a string of our file. So user file. And then we're going to split on a new line. And I think we should be good there. And then we can say for in range of our lines, and then we'll loop through this. Let's go ahead and create a new, allocate the variable there. Okay, so then now what we want to go ahead and do is we want to say, we'll say R, U, and then E. And we'll set that equal to extract user detail. We'll pass in the client, we'll pass in the context, and then we'll pass in the user. And then what we'll do is we'll say if E is not equal to nil, right? And we'll say log.fatal and E. And then we'll just go ahead and print out all this good stuff. So we'll say R, and then we'll just say U here. And we should be able to loop through that file and print out each one of the users correctly. So we'll remove this last error here, and let's go run main.go. All right, Josh, okay. So there you go. This is just a very, very simple program utilizing Instructor. And so hopefully you learned something. This was a little bit longer than the usual videos, but we wanted to go ahead and dive a little bit deeper into another language. So if you like this, go ahead and hit the like button. If you want to see more of this, go ahead and let me know what else you want to see from this. I'm going to go ahead and continue to refresh my Go skills, and I'm going to attempt to put out more content, but if that's something you don't want to see, let me know. And of course, hit that subscribe button. And last but certainly not least, we're all builders here. So Go build something. It's your boy B Phil. I'm out. Peace.